Hey guys, welcome back to Tachout Garage. I'm Brent. Today we're gonna go ahead and do a couple cosmetic things. So one of the things that drives me nuts is right here next to the windshield. This big piece fades out when you buy aftermarket, but aftermarket is so dramatically cheaper than OEM that I keep just going on this vicious cycle of like once every year, maybe 2 years, just replacing these things. They're like 60 bucks for a pair if you buy them aftermarket. You get a year or two out of them and then they fade out and you got to replace them again. Yes, I could buy OEM, but those even get scratched up and fade eventually anyhow. So it's just easier to just go ahead and replace them. So I've seen on the forums and on Facebook groups where a lot of people, are kind of mystified by like how these get changed out. And honestly, they're really, really simple to do. So I'm gonna just do a quick walkthrough on how you change these out. And it makes a dramatic difference visually on the look of your Flex. So the Explorers kind of have this same design. Theirs is a little bit different, but not by much. And something that's a little weird that is probably going to be off-putting to some people. The easiest way to take these guys off is to break them. Break the clips and just yank these things off. So I'll start with a little spudger tool, plastic, just so I don't scratch my paint. You get it started up here, and then there's white clips that are behind that never, ever, ever want to release. And they're honestly quite a pain to get to. So once you get it started, just start cracking and ripping it off. It's honestly the easiest way to do it. I wish there was a better way, but frankly, there's not. So there you go. 2 pieces, kind of one piece. It's still stuck together a little bit, but nonetheless, there's clips on the back, and that's what breaks every single time. Even when you get your windshield replaced, any installer worth of salt that knows these vehicles knows that they need to go ahead and buy these and include that as part of your windshield replacement, because you simply just cannot get the things off. These clips inside here are just wedged in such a way that you have no way to actually get to them. So your best bet, just pop it off. So after it's off, then you can come in here, get your pry tool, pry out all the old clips, because the new one, the replacements, even the cheap Amazon and eBay dealios come with these clips, because it's such common knowledge that this stuff just breaks. So go through, pop out all your clips, clean up your mess after yourself, obviously. Ow. Wouldn't be a job if I didn't hurt myself some way. All right. So there we go. I am gonna wipe this pillar down because stuff gets behind it and it's nasty. So it's a good opportunity to just do a quick little clean. And I live in the South, so that's all a bunch of dried on pollen from pollen season, which we all know and love so much. I think up north is getting it just now. We went through it like a month and a half ago. We get it so much earlier than y'all. But yeah, take the opportunity, wipe it up. Doesn't have to be perfect. Nobody's ever going to see it, but I know it's there and I know it's dirty, so I know I want to clean it. And it just helps with general maintenance. All right. So now that we're cleaned, go ahead and get our replacement. And that's the other thing I don't mind about buying this on a regular basis, is it's such a quick, simple process that I really don't mind it. So protective film on it. I like to leave it on there and just pull up the bottom, because the bottom needs to tuck in right down here at the base where the hood and the fender meet. So roll that up a little bit. The top half, you can roll that down a little bit if you want. There is rubber seals here, and then a rubber seal here that goes along the actual windshield. And then on the back, you can see it has the same kind of matting, the sound deadening. and anti-vibration, whatever. And then it has all the clips, and the clips come with little rubber grommets, so you always make sure you got your grommets as well. But yeah, literally to install it, just go ahead and line it up, get your clips lined in place, make sure that this is going up and over the windshield, and then start clipping in. I usually go from the bottom and work my way up, so that way I know I'm getting everything in properly. Crack your door open, just make it a little bit easier to get to it. You just want to look in there, make sure you don't pop these clips in place until you're absolutely certain, because you really don't want this flying off going down the highway, right? That's good there. Clip it up. Double check, make sure you're secure. Feels secure. Do your satisfying peel. Wow, is this one cracked from the factory? This one's cracked. Huh. I'll have to hit up the seller. But aside from having a cracked unit, which is interesting, that's it. That's all there is to the install. Uninstalled, reinstalled in 5 minutes flat. So that's a good quick one. Like I said, it makes a world of difference when it comes to just, you know, visuals. It's all about cosmetics sometimes. And well, let's do a side-by-side so you can really see just how dull they get. So this one is super, super matte finished. It's supposed to be a nice shiny piano black. So a dramatic difference. So like I said, I'll have to hit the seller up. I've got a crack right here in this one. I'll just, you know, break it off and replace it. Hopefully they'll send me a replacement. If not, I'll live with it for now and, you know, maybe just buy one side. Hopefully I can get it cheap if the seller is sketch. I haven't had these that long, so hopefully he or she or whoever abides by it. So yeah, that's it for this one. I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side. Same exact process. Break it off, pop the new one on, and you're done. And then I'll get back to you and we'll move on to the next one. All right, so now that we've got the windshield trim replaced on this, I went ahead and flipped the bus around, pulled it back in. We're gonna work on another problem that has been driving me absolutely up a wall. My keyless entry keypad. So it is right here and it has stopped responding. It'll notice my touch every once in a while, but like when I actually go to put in anything, it doesn't register key touches anymore. And I've noticed that it lights up on its own now and acts like it's getting touch inputs. And it is so crazy because it's not draining my battery, thank God, but it'll lock the car. So I've had to be very, very aware of like where my keys are and make sure I don't leave them in the car or I've got the windows down, because it literally is triggering a locking mechanism now. So I got an OEM replacement. We're gonna go ahead and get this swapped out. Hopefully it solves my problem. It's not something like a door control module or something like that. But it does require a little bit of disassembly on the door. I've got to pull the actual interior panel out and then be able to get to a connector. The Ford manual says that I've also got to pull off this piece of weather strip. I'm gonna see if I can get away with not doing that. There's a decent amount of gap right here. I'm hoping I can just slide this piece down in and then stick it on. It's held on with 3M tape. There's not even any clips or anything that hold it on. So kind of hoping I can get away with that. The only thing that I saw that I'm really gonna have to fight is my vent visors. Right here is connected to this trim panel. So I'm going to have to try to pry this up and get that 3M tape out of there, and then I've got some replacement tape so I can put it right back down. But outside of that, I'm hoping this is a straightforward process. So we're gonna go ahead and get the door panel off next and get going on it. All right, we're gonna go ahead and start with getting the door panel pulled off of this. It's relatively simple. You need just a Phillips head screwdriver. Power drill obviously helps with that. You will need a 10mm socket to be able to get to a couple bolts that actually hold it in. And then I would highly suggest something like a very fine tip flathead screwdriver or a plastic pry tool. The flathead screwdriver honestly does this job a little bit easier. Obviously you need to be careful because metal will mar your plastic. So start with removing your screws. You've got the most obvious one hiding there and it's got a little rubber grommet on it, so you don't necessarily see the screw head, but know it's there. There is a hidden one that's hiding up here behind a red reflector. That one gets a lot of people. Grab that guy, and then we got two along the bottom. And then two more along the right side. And that's it for your screws. So just for a head count, that should be 6 total screws, Phillips heads. And then you want to switch out to your 10. Go ahead and grab your little plastic screwdriver up behind your door handle. There's a little access panel, and we'll pop that off. That'll reveal a 10mm, which I've already removed off camera because mine, I already did this once, mine's stripped hardcore. It was totally unexpected, and I had to manhandle this thing to get this guy out and to get it to bite. It just sat there and spun, and it really just, it ate the threads down. So the little backer that actually it screws into, I'm gonna have to check it and make sure it's good. I'm hoping it was just my bolt that got messed up. So there's one more access panel you need to grab. That sits behind the actual grab handle. And then take your 10. Very carefully back that out so it doesn't strip out. I can see this one's got a little bit of wear, but it's all right. Biggest thing is just don't use all the ugga-duggas on it and you'll be good. So at that point in the ball game, if you've taken out this upper bolt that I'd already taken out, like I said, your door panel should be free to start popping off. You can go ahead and just grab your plastic tool at that point. I like to go from underneath. It should just pop right off. It might stick a little bit because there's like a foam barrier that holds it, but it's really not that tight. So at that point in the ball game, you should have a nice loose door panel. And then from here, go up to the top by where your mirror is and kind of pull it outward and upward at the same time. And there you go. And you need to pull up and over your door lock mechanism. And then obviously you've got a few connectors you need to disconnect. So door lock that comes off of the handle, and then pop your handle assembly out and slide it through and just leave that sit for now. And then there's one more connector which is for the power mirrors. Pull that off, and then you can get down low and you've got two more connectors. Got this guy here, and then one more for your main window switch. And voila, door panel on. Set that off to the side in a safe area. And then we get to go exploring. So like I said, I'm concerned that it's my actual module that might be screwy because I've noticed that my passenger side window acts up a little bit. But I'm still pretty convinced that my panel has failed. So we're gonna replace that, especially because, you know, I already bought it, so it is what it is. Go ahead and pull your weather stripping off. If you're lucky, your rubber is gonna come with it. All right, there's that, set it aside. Like I said, I managed to salvage the butyl rubber all the way around, or butyl rubber all the way around. Now we have access to the inside of our door. So let's see here. This is our locking mechanism. And somewhere hiding, let's see here, that's our door handle. There should be a wire coming down off of this guy. There's a lot going on in there, that's for sure. Is that another module? That feels like another module. So I wonder if that's maybe causing things to go haywire. Alright, well, I guess the next thing will be, since I can't really see much, is let's go ahead and rip the outer panel off and see if we can get the things a little bit better. So, like I said, this is held on with just 3M tape. Nothing super special about it. So I'm going to start by trying to pry up my vent shade. And breaking it. Kind of need new ones anyhow. I've had these on for a while. I put them on all my vehicles. I just like having fresh air. That's kind of my thing when I'm driving. But, ow! Got it. Along with my finger. Here. You guys watch my carnage with me here. Suppose I would have to see it blinking. That's what it just constantly does that now. So it's really, really annoying. Alright, let's see if we can get in between. Just break through the, break through the whole panel, I guess. But basically you're trying to get through that 3M tape. So you can use the sharp edge of your tool basically to go ahead and get it in there and then slice downwards and upwards with it. If you were trying to take this off and preserve this, you would have no luck. I mean, there's just no good way to get it off without risking your paint. I mean, you could risk your paint, I suppose. So you can see it's just held on. Foam 3M tape basically. So, alright. And this is daunting. I mean, because you're basically breaking off a piece of your car that is not cheap. Replacement panel for this, especially OEM, was not cheap. And there's eBay specials and Amazon specials for this guy. But really, I wouldn't recommend it. Frankly, with something like this that involves the security of your vehicle access. Okay, so that does just, I mean, it just tucks down in there. So I don't think I need to pull this weather stripping off, which is fantastic. You'll find that a lot when you look at manufacturer recommendations and read the service manuals. They'll have you do a lot of steps that you might not necessarily need to do. And this looks to be one of those cases. The only kicker to this is whether or not... Yeah, alright, we're good. I was going to say the only kicker was going to be whether or not the actual harness will get all the way up through. But where this wire is fed is actually fed between two pieces of metal that is independent from this. So I know that it had to fit down through there, so it's going to come back up out. So next thing we got to find is the actual harness, which is hidden somewhere up in here, I guess. So it's going to be, there's a module assembly back here. So we're going to go ahead and try to find that. All right, so I did some digging. Went back to the manual, because the manual is right on some things. And one very, very important thing I forgot to do was put the window up. So you put the window up and suddenly you have great visibility and can see exactly what you need to get to. So it is right up inside, right below where the bottom of the window actually shows once it's all the way up. There is just a mounted harness connector. Let's see if I can get you guys in here. There's a mounted harness connector right up inside there. And that's what you need to get to. Let's see if I can. This guy right here. So that is what you need to get to. That was the mystery. So you can see that there is a blue cable that is on the back of it, and when you are at the bottom of the keypad, it's a blue cable. So we're gonna go ahead and get that popped out. All right, let's shed some light on the situation here with my crappy little lights, but nonetheless does the job. And push tab is up on top. Door lock mechanism is right in your way. right where your fingers need to be. So that's convenient. Looks like we can get two paws up in here. I'm trying to figure out which side. Okay, so the side that comes out is the side that stays in the door, which means the connector itself is going to have a little Christmas tree on it, and that's what's actually anchored into the door. There we go. Quick pop with the Christmas tree connector, and we're out. Now let's see if we can fish this guy up and out. Hopefully that was the right cable that I unplugged, because there's no give. Did I unplug the right thing? Lord knows the easy one wouldn't be the answer, would it? Let's see. I mean, I'm pulling on it and it's wiggling. So I wonder if it's just wedged, maybe? That is definitely the connector. I mean, it's the only thing that makes sense. That's the only other electronic thing that's up there. So maybe it needs manhandled and a little bit of forceful action here. It's interesting because it's jacketed black up top, but down below it's a blue cable. See if I can see cable colors just to verify this guy. So I've got red, white, yellow, purple, green, and black. And I've got red, white, yellow, purple, green, and black. All right, so that is definitely the connector. But she is wedged on something. Hooked somehow. I don't know if maybe there's another holder up top. So let's do the smart thing. Let's get our replacement that has the harness and the cable on it, because, you know, that'd be the smart thing to do. And let's see if we can maybe get a visual on what it is this guy should look like and what it is I'm fighting here. Aha. Yes, indeedy. There is a second little Christmas tree. So here's our replacement. Here's our harness. This is the black jacket that I saw. Here's our blue cable. And there's a connector that's fighting me. So it is up there somewhere inside, and we can use this as a reference point. Looks like 6 inches down. So that's gonna be fun. I mean, I know why Ford did it. Ford did it so this cable doesn't just flop around in there, but you need small hands, there it is, to get that bad boy loose. Wow. How do they expect anybody to do this? I'm not sure if a child's hand was fit up in there. Good gracious. Who thought this was a good idea to put that right there? I mean, you can't get a grip on it. There's nothing. There is nothing. No room. Come on, push. Push. Putting it on is gonna be fun, but I think it'll at least be easier. This is dumb. This is really dumb.
2 hours later.
All right. Thinking the name of the game is slice and dice here. Because I have a replacement, because I know I'm not reusing this, I think chop. When in doubt, brute force. All right. Well, that's one half of the battle. I cheated, and I don't even care. Now I'm just trying to pull this out, and it's not much better. It's just a zip tie. Zip tie should not be that strong. Apparently Ford never thought this part would fail, and so they gave it all the beans. There she goes. Holy crap, what a fight. What a fight. I'm exhausted. Ow, my hand hurts. Okay, so now I've got to figure out how to pull this outer trim off without breaking the living crap out of it, because it looks like I already broke it, because I'm awesome like that. All right, after some troubleshooting, we are back, and I figured some things out. So I did have to remove the belt molding, but not all the way. I could leave the mirror on. It wanted the exterior mirror taken off, and I was like, I don't know how wild I feel about that. Turns out I don't have to do that. I'd never taken this belt molding off, but really it just pries up. There's a little clippy right here. Once you pop that loose, the rest of it is just friction fit. And so you can pry it up off. Good to know, because I need to rewrap these, because I didn't have the black package because it didn't exist when I bought this. But I need to rewrap these, and the last time I wrapped these, I struggled and fought because I did them on the vehicle. Turns out they're really, really easy to take off. Little bitty baby bit of brute force and you're good to go. So now we can go ahead and slide our connector down in there. There's enough gap right between the window, and I mean just barely enough, between the actual door skin and the window to get that connector through. One thing I did do, and I'm gonna go ahead and say you guys need to do too, is on this connector, the Christmas tree was attached to it. Basically set like that, slid on there. I had to manhandle it off because it was, I mean, it was on there tight. I just took a pick tool because it's a very small area and just fought it and fought it and fought it. Had to pry up right here and finally got it to pop off. If you don't take that off, this is not going inside the door. That gap is just enough to fit the width of this, especially when you have your push tab here and you've got your bump out here. It's not going to fit with this Christmas tree on. So pop this Christmas tree off before you try to feed this into the door. But now that I have done that, uh-oh. Mayday, Houston. I've seemed to have locked myself out of my door. So take your connector, we're going to feed it down in between the glass and the door frame. And it looked like the best way to attack this is have the push tab facing the window and then push it down in. And that gives you just enough room, and we're talking just enough room to sit down on there. All right, now we're in. So now I need to get my Christmas tree connector put back on. I need to, oh, there it is. That fished perfectly where you need it to go, actually. Push your Christmas tree connector back on until it locks into place. And then, let's see if there's any specific way we want to route this. And it looks like a good spot. So now, push it back into the holes where the Christmas tree connector was. Alignment hole, and then the actual Christmas tree hole. Huh. Well, I had it backwards, so one hole is smaller than the other. Remember that. because that will come in handy when you're trying to put this on. There we go. I guess it only clicks in one way. So small hole's your alignment dowel, big hole's your actual Christmas tree. All right, we're in. Rehook up the permanent cabling in here. And then the single biggest thing is I want to make sure I have this set up to where this isn't going to rattle around. I would imagine that's the true purpose. Of that extra Christmas tree. Sorry, mid-thought, pain in fingers all at once. Not a great setup. There we go. There's a little bracket that it can wedge in between instead. Honestly, it's going to be perfectly fine right there. Yeah. Okay. So, in theory, we're done inside the door. Thank goodness. Because I couldn't handle any more of it. This was just, it was too much. All right, so our keypad is now lit up. We got a functional keypad again. That's fantastic. Well worth the headache and the effort and the wrist pain and the finger pain. All of it. Okay. Well, now comes the fun part. I need to reinstall this keypad. I need to get all this gunk and junk off first and foremost. Plastic scraper will do you well. You can even use your spudge tool if you can remember where you sat it, and the spudge tool will do the job. So I'll go ahead and clean this up, and then I'll be right back with you guys. All right, now we are to the point where we're gonna try to go ahead and reinstall this. So show you guys real quick. You can see I cleaned this surface off really well. I got all the leftover adhesive, all the foam adhesive backing rubbed off of here. My fingers are numb now, and my fingerprints are basically gone, but you know, it happens. But you just definitely want to make sure that this is a very clean mounting surface. After I did that, went ahead and got the leftover remnants off of my visor, which I'll just stick on for now, but honestly I'm going to replace because I cracked it, and that sucks, but they're old and I've had them on here since I first got the car, so we'll replace them. I digress. Only 2 strips of 3M adhesive on this, so it's not like there's a ton. So the trick to this stuff is take your red backing, pull it down a little bit, and then press down on it to get a corner sticking out, and the same on the other side. So that way you got 2 little wings that are sticking out. And that way when you put it in place, you can adjust it, make sure it's in place, and then when you're ready to install, you can pull down and press down at the same time. So I'll show you what I mean on that. I ended up pulling this weather stripping all the way off. I still didn't need to remove the mirror for that. It just tucks down in there and then comes across. So I took advantage of that being off, wiped all this down because there was a bunch of junk sitting on top right here. And then while you're at it, if you've got this stripping off, go ahead and stick a rag down in here and clean the bottom of your window because mine was filthy. So with that, we are ready for install. So I'm gonna go ahead and line it up. And there's a little locating tab right here that goes into a square. So you can't really mess up location on it, which is really, really nice. So once you have it in place and it feels pretty happy, you're gonna push it up against the weather stripping, make sure that all feels good. And as long as it feels good, I'm gonna do the inside first. All right, push and hold. Pull down a little bit. I'm gonna push it down. Oh yeah, it immediately gripped. And basically you just keep pulling this down to reveal your foam double-sided tape underneath. And then it comes off clean. Press that down. And the inside is done. Now we'll go ahead and do the outside, same thing. Oop, you gotta be careful you don't sit it. There it goes. If it grips too much, then you're really in trouble. So if you feel it start to kind of push back on you, go ahead and just pull the whole thing off, because at this point it's set in place. It's not really going anywhere, so you're good. And then just give it a good push all the way down where the strip goes. And that should be it. As long as you had a good clean surface, it should be good. So now, all right, my door's working again, and we'll get our satisfying. All right, we're gonna go ahead and put this door panel back together. First things first, we wanna make sure that we get our weatherproofing put back on with the butyl rubber. Don't forget that step. That's an important one, because, you know, soundproofing and weatherproofing, obviously important. And then we'll go ahead and slap the panel back on. I'll show you guys all the different little things that this door panel needs to be able to actually put it back on successfully without fighting the crap out of it. And then we'll just go ahead and wrap it up at that point in the ball game. So let's grab the plastic cover first and foremost. I'll give you a good shot of the work. Can't tell you how many times I've done a car, taken this thing out, and then forgot to put it back in. It's been a many, let me tell you. Let's see here. So these little imprints match the imprints on the door. Make sure they're not crimped up and all marked up. And they go back into their home like so. It just kind of falls into place. And make sure you're not blocking any connectors or anything like that along the way. And then you've got a hole right here for your grab handle. Make sure that that plastic goes right back over where it's supposed to be. There's an imprint for a nut and a bolt that's sticking out right there. And then there's a little divot right here. So just follow your line all the way along. Take your time. You want this to be in good. What is that junk? Picked up a sticker along the way, apparently. Okay. And then there's another bolt down here at the bottom. Make sure you get that one. And there we go. All right, now that she's on, go ahead and work your way around. Make sure you press down this butyl really well. Get a good seal. This is good thick plastic, so believe it or not, it really does help road noise a little bit. Eventually, I would like to dynamat or, you know, fat mat this door, put some kind of sound deadener on it. That'll be a project for another day, because I would like to upgrade the speakers on this as well. And this has the factory Sony system. It's all right. I like lots of sound. I upgraded the sound in my Lightning, and it is phenomenal. I replaced everything in there, and I've just never got around to it on this one. It's good. It's not great, but it serves the purpose, and I just don't drive this a ton anymore. So I don't know. I've always lived with it. I've got a sub in the back that I made a box for, and it helps fill in the sound, but this could definitely be crisper and a little bit louder. All right, let's go ahead and grab our door panel. We'll get it installed. Try not to hit the car in the process. All right, forget this guy. The name of the game is just don't forget any of your harnesses. That's the biggest thing. Make sure everything is plugged back in the way it came. So on the Flex specifically, we've got 4 harnesses for the door. And one little trick, or tip I should say, is the door handle, this assembly. Go ahead and put it in before you try to plug it in, because if you try to plug the harness in and then fit it through that door opening, it's not gonna work. Not enough room. So, all right, once you've got all your harnesses hooked up, the other challenge you face is trying to get your door lock to go into this hole. So use 2 fingers, guide it in, you'll feel it. And it's a pretty deep pocket there, so it gives you enough room to go ahead and get your door panel mounted on down into the channel, and then walk it across, keep it in the channel, and then up here in the corner by your mirror, it should kind of fall into place, and there's a clip. Pop that in and you're up. You're good. So from there are no clips around the bottom of the door or inside the door panel itself, so it's just going to hang there and just wobble. So that's where your bolts come in. Go ahead and we will do our grab handle. I know that sounded like a lot, but I'm really light on the trigger. One thing I do is I put my knee on the bottom of the door panel, and then I give this a pull just to make sure there's no wiggles, no rattles. That's good right where it is. Don't forget your beauty cover. So on this cover, you got 2 long tabs, you got 2 short tabs. The long tabs face the bottom, they go in, and then you push in on the top 2 short tabs, and they clip into place very satisfyingly. That part's done. Next up, you're gonna do your actual door pull handle, and well, your latch mechanism, we'll call it a latch mechanism, how about that? That would normally be a 10, but because I stripped mine out, this is what I had in my box of random hardware. Every mechanic has a box of just random screws and bolts and nuts and everything else that just kind of goes in either a box or a drawer, and you never know when you need it. But boy, you're glad when it's there. And this is one of those cases. This ended up being an Allen head. It was all I had that was really compatible as far as thread pitch and depth was concerned, but it will do the job perfectly fine. Only curveball, I suppose, would be if anybody else but me tries to take this door panel off in the future. But I don't foresee that happening anytime soon. Once again, doesn't need to be crazy tight, just enough to where nothing shakes, rattles, or vibrates. When you're putting in the beauty panel behind your door latch, you've got a curved side and you've got a flat side. Flat side faces away from the handle. Put that in first, and then you can pop in the other side and it holds in place and you're good to go there. So then our last step is our Phillips head screws. So for this, don't forget you have the rubber grommeted one that goes right down here by the armrest. Once again, doesn't need to be super, super tight. And then you got one up here where the reflector goes. This one will be a little bit of a curveball for you. And see, it's fighting me right now because it's not a rounded hole that the actual screw goes into. It's like a square slot. So grab yourself a pick tool and just reach in there and pull that slot towards the door, and you should be able to get to it. And then send it. Don't forget to put your reflector back in. And by the way, the reflector has a short, skinny tab on the bottom. It has a big wide tab on the top. That matches to the door. You can only put it in one direction, basically. So that just snaps in. And then you got 4 more screws left. 2 along the bottom. And then 2 more along the inside, 1 down by the speaker, and then 1 up by the rearview mirror. Side mirror, whatever you want to call it. And that's it. Door panel is installed. We're good to go. All right, guys. That does it for this episode. I am so happy that I got this panel replaced. This has driven me nuts for quite a while. And just taking the time to actually do it has just been something that's just been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. It was a little bit more of a fight than I had originally anticipated. A lot of it had to do with getting that harness fished through. That was a little bit more of a fight than I had expected. And then the other big thing is something you can't avoid. The old 3M strips on there take forever to get off. Basically, the best method to get old 3M off, you can try scraping it, you're just gonna make a mess. Use your good old fingers. I use my thumbs and literally just pull down across it and just keep rolling it off in just little bits and pieces. Here, hold up. I got a little roll right here. And they come out like these little rolls. And you just keep pulling them off until you get everything clean, and then make sure you wipe down your surface really well. But aside from that, I'm happy with the finished product. I have a functional door again. You'd be surprised how much you use that keyless entry pad when you have it, and then when you don't have it, you realize how much you miss it. Not to mention the fact that it was automatically locking the door. That was driving me up a wall. So now I don't have to worry about, you know, battery drain. I don't have to worry about locking my keys in the car or anything like that. I have a fully functional door again. So very good stuff there. But yeah, so still lots of things to come for this. Like I said, it's just crunch time for Hot Rod Power Tool. I want to get this thing as good and ready as possible for 2,000 miles of driving and lots of showing off and some racing and some autocrossing. So looking forward very much to that. If you guys have not, please like, share, and subscribe this channel. I'm trying to grow it. If you like the content, which I hope you do, yeah, please spread the word on it. Otherwise, you know, leave a comment. Let me know what you would like to see. If there's some technology you want to know about, let me know. If there's some cars that you want me to find, or if I've got some friends, I've got lots of car friends, to just go over some vehicles, please let me know that as well. I'll do anything I can to make some good content for you. And like I said, with Hot Rod Power Tour coming up, and then I've got a trip to the Tail of the Dragon coming up the month after that, I've got lots of good content coming for the channel. So very much looking forward to it. So with that, you guys have a great day. Be good, be kind, and I will see you next time.